In this video, I will be showing to you the anatomy of a bike. Basically all the components, all the stuff, so let's pop some Vivaldi on and enjoy. So before we talk about componentry, we're going to start with the heart of the bike itself, the frame. Now on this bike, I have a United Recruit frame, but it's basically going to be the same for any BMX. The differences between these bikes and mountain bikes over there is that BMXs are built to be short, snappy and responsive and easy to do tricks with. So they usually have a short rear end, short front end. And by rear end what I mean is the measurement from the centre of this nut here to the centre of this nut here. This is called the axle. This is called the bottom bracket. Well, the bottom bracket is inside the frame, but this is the nut that attaches the cranks to the bottom bracket. Front end, what I mean is the measurement from this star nut here to the seat post here. So, a short rear end and front end, what does that mean? Well, it means a short rear end means the bike picks up quicker, a shorter rear end means it's more twitchy and easier to do spins and other tricks on. Aside from that, BMX frames usually have a low standover. Now by standover, I mean the height from... how to explain handover? It's actually really hard. Basically it means the seat is really low down even when it's slammed completely in the frame. As you can see, I've not slammed mine. But what that means is it's out the way so you can move your body around the bike and do loads of tricks. Up the front of the bike we got one of the main ingredients to any bike is the handlebars. So we got these handlebars, these are the blank 9er handlebars with a 9-inch rise, but that's irrelevant. All you need to know is on BMX bikes, the bars usually have a high rise because the front end of the bike, and by that I mean the top of the headset, is lower down. This means you can sit up in a more upright position rather than being hunched over your bike. Attached to the bars are the grips. Irrelevant to make, the grips are what you put your hand on. They're what I like, a nice cushiony grips, which is why I'm running the ODI long necks. So that's what you put your hands on, usually made out of rubber. There are two different types of grips. You got the slip-on ones I've got here, which basically you just slip onto the bike. And then over here, we have lock-on grips. So essentially what lock-on has is a wee metal collar which is attaches to a nut, which screws in and tightens the grip in place. And essentially what that means is that in wet weather, the grip doesn't move around as much. But also some people say you feel less connected to the bike. So these are lock-on grips here. These are slip-on grips here. You can see there's no faffing around here. Some people prefer the feel of this because it's more connected and less faff, and it's just a different ride quality. Some people prefer the feel of the lock-on grips like the ones on the Cotic over there. Also attached to the handlebars is the brake. This is a mechanical brake. I've got a bit of a problem going on with the barrel adjuster here, so I'll just explain some of the parts. So usually you call this thing the brake lever. This is what you pull on. The barrel adjuster is here. It's this wee black knob thing. You can, when it's working properly, you can screw in or out to adjust the tension on the brake cable, which in turn adjusts the reach of the lever, which is how close it comes to the bar or the biting point. Sorry, the camera is pointing in the wrong place there. There's the clamp, which comes up to the bar. It's pretty self-explanatory. You get some different clamps. So this is a flip-flop style clamp, which is when the actual clamp itself as I was saying, you get two styles of brake lever. The flippity-flop clamp, which is when the clamp of the lever folds over the bar, and you can put it on essentially without taking anything else off. And then alternatively, we have the slide-on lever here, which literally, as the name suggests, slides right over, no flippity-flop. There's one bolt underneath which screws it on. You can see the bolt more clearly here. Nice and tidy. This is a flippity-flop, usually comes on slightly higher end brakes. This is a mechanical brake, which means that it's operated by a cable, as you can see here, if the camera will focus. Operated by a cable, as you can see here. The cable will now then run down to the brake hose, which comes all the way into here, and that attaches to the brake calipers. Now the brake calipers are these arms here that move the brake let's just show the demonstration. Brake calipers with the arms here that move in and out to connect the brake pads to the rim. Now the brake pads are rubber little wedges that connect with the rim when you pull the brake lever and disconnect. Obviously this introduces a lot of friction to the rim and slows it down. Now you can get brake pads like mine in stickier and harder compounds. Essentially what the compounds does is it makes the brake pad bite more, but the disadvantage of a sticky compound, which obviously bites more, is that it wears away a lot quicker than a harder compound which bites a bit less. So if you're more concerned about performance of your brakes, especially on a weak mechanical brake like this, then buy a stickier compound. If you're more concerned about the financial burden of constantly buying new brake pads, which aren't cheap, £20 for a set of sticky compound brake pads, then go for the harder ones, which still work great and last you a bit longer, eking more value out for your money. And then we get on to the drivetrain. Now the drivetrain of the bike basically is linked together by one of the most important pieces on a bike, the chain. Now the chain is made of links. Each link is, well, it's hard to say, it's just a link. Basically there's a wee metal cylinder which revolves around a pin which is pushed through these two metal side pieces. Sorry, my camera is completely out of focus today. So basically what this allows to do is it allows the chain to rotate and bend as it goes over the cog at the rear and the front. You may notice something that you will not see on a lot of bikes. On this bike we only have one gear. You can see over here on the Cotic that usually you have several gears in your cassette, but on a BMX you don't need it because you won't be riding up mountains on it. So essentially what I have here is a 28 tooth front sprocket. The sprocket is this metal piece with teeth in it, and a 9 tooth rear sprocket, which again is the metal tooth with pieces in it. Attached to the sprocket are the cranks. These cranks are BMX cranks, obviously, part of a 3-piece crank set, which essentially consists of a metal spindle that goes through the bottom bracket, and 2 cranks, which completes the 3 pieces, obviously. They attach to the spindle through this nut here, and what's interesting about these nuts here is that one of them tightens the wrong way as a normal bolt. Now a normal bolt would tighten right, this one tightens left. Essentially what that stops from happening is as you pedal, it stops the bolt itself from unscrewing through the motion of you pedaling. Attached to the cranks are pedals. I go for metal pedals because we ride in terrible conditions here in Scotland. Conditions we probably shouldn't do on a BMX, but we do it anyway. And to aid us, we have metal pedals with these nice big pins here to grip our shoes and keep us from slipping off. Inside the frame, in here, it's hard to show you because, well, it's inside the frame and I don't really want to take mine out, is a bottom bracket. It consists of 2 bearings which spin, through of which slides the spindle. That's really all there is to say about the bottom bracket. Moving on to the wheels, because that is attached to the drivetrain, and we'll start at the back. Start at the centre of the wheel and work our way outwards. We have the hub, mine's a bit muddy. Now on a BMX you get 2 types of hubs. You get a free coaster hub and a cassette hub. Essentially a cassette hub, which is what I've got on here, sounds like this. Basically, when you're riding backwards or riding fakie in BMX, a cassette hub means that as you go backwards, the engagement points on it means that your pedals have to turn backwards, and therefore you have to pedal backwards as well. On a free coaster, there is a design that allows you to ride backwards without your pedals moving like mine are now. Basically what that means is you can do more technical tricks while riding fakie, like tail whips and bar spins, while also being able to, ride fakie better. These lines are so lame, I'm sorry guys, this is totally unscripted. On a cassette, however, you get more pedal engagement. Now pedal engagement is the amount of movement it takes from you pushing down your crank arm to your cassette biting. As you can see, there's only a few mil of engagement here. A few mil of wobble in the crank where it's not engaging and moving the wheel. On a free coaster, you'll probably turn a quarter of a revolution before you actually bite into it. Which means if you're riding tight technical dirt jumps, like I do often, or pump track, or if you're racing or sprinting, then a free coaster will really not be for you. Attached to the hub are spokes. Really not much to say. They're spoked. They're spokes. Attached to the spokes are spoke nipples, like up here, which we'll see in my camera focuses. Evidently not. So the nipples up here, which attach the spokes to the rim, which is made out of metal. Double walled on this, which means basically there's two walls at the side instead of just being curved round. That makes it stronger. And attached to the rim is the tyre, the rubbery bit, the bit that is looking a bit worn on my bike at the moment. Probably needs replacing. Yeah, not much to say about the tyre. Moving on to the front wheel, very much the same without the cassette. Obviously, because you don't need to pedal your front wheel. Although I did see an interesting video of a two-wheel drive bike, which I will link in the description of the video if you want to check out. So this wheel is a Mission Radar front hub, fully sealed, which means the bearings are totally surrounded by seals, so no dirt ingress can get in. And one interesting difference between these two hubs is this one is a female axle, this is a male axle. Essentially the nut here turns on an axle which tightens into the centre of the hub. This is essentially, there is no axle, there is just a nut which tightens into the hub, which attaches it to the fork. Benefits of this, stiffer, stronger. Benefits of this, cleaner looking, more simple. And essentially, that is all you need to know about the BMX bikes. If I missed anything, I've left out a few things like the stem, which is obvious, and the seat. That's me for today, guys. Support Movember in these difficult times. Eat pickled onions and watch out for seagulls, because they are most certainly working with the communists. This is my bike. This is the Brian Boys. And thank you very much for watching, and enjoy.